everyone. Get started this morning with Coach Blashill. Please let us know if you'd like to ask a question. Max Boltman.
Did you enjoy the Tyler the Creator concert last night?
No, yeah, I didn't. No, I did not.
The pressure that Carolina obviously brings, especially when they're in your zone. What do you guys need to do tonight to disrupt that?
Yeah, they're definitely a high pressure team. They've established identity over the years that Rod's been there. It starts with their forecheck, so you got to get out of your end on your breakouts, and then once you get into D zone coverage, when you touch the puck, that puck has to get out. To me, where they really get you is they shoot it. They're very good at getting it back, and they just start to break you down off that. So when you get opportunities, I thought we did a decent job of this last year. When we played them, we get opportunities to get pucks. We got to make sure they're out, whether it's tape to tape or off the window into space or trying to beat them up the ice.
When you guys first acquired Mark Stahl a couple summers ago, he'd played his whole career at that point in New York. Did you call him, or what do you remember about kind of the conversations right as he came in?
When we first traded for him, I called him and talked to him, and I think at the time he was. I don't want to say taken aback. I don't think he was, shocked. But I also think he had spent the whole time in New York and he wasn't sure what to expect. And he's a professional for sure, and he's a good person. But it was just, it was cordial, and it was, I guess I don't want to say let's get to work. It was in this, a time where he was just kind of okay. I got to get my bearings a little bit. Well, he's been awesome in a lot of ways. I've spoke about it lots. I think he's got really good leadership just in how he handles himself, how he shows up every day. He doesn't take days off in practice, never asks for it, does everything asked of him in the weight room, off the ice, regardless of how many years he's been in the league or his age. He's also been a big steadying force for us in the back end. We don't have a lot of size. He's a guy that can play against the biggest guys in the league. Really smart player, can calm us down. He's done a real good job for us both on and off the ice. Yep.
John Keating.
Hey, good morning, Jeff.
Morning.
Was Saturday a game in which you sort of throw the tape away, or how much do you analyze what went not so well for your team, and even the parts that went well?
There's always parts of games you can learn from both ways, and I just looked at a couple of our goals for, and it's something that we can continue to get better at, and that's just shooting it with net presence, and how that ends up finding the way in. It's happened to us the other way a lot actually lately. There's certainly some things defensively, but I also would say I thought it was a game in which we didn't have the same compete in energy and sacrifice that we've had most of the season, and so there's not a lot from a systematic standpoint that you're going to correct if you don't have that. That's the first and foremost thing you got to have is that compete and that work ethic and that sacrifice for each other. And I think we've had that most of the season. We, for whatever reason, we didn't that night, and we plan on having it again here tonight.
You want your team to be defensively responsible. How tough was that game for you to watch?
Well, I think every coach ultimately wants their team to be defensively responsible because they know that's how you win over a long period of time. It was more surprising to me. We just didn't have the same compete I think we've had most of the season. And to use the word frustrating, I was probably frustrated at that point on the bench, and then certainly was great from a I guess fan aspect. The crowd was unbelievable. That you see how loud this building is. A lot of people that are friends of mine that are Red Wing fans tell me how much they enjoy the game. So I appreciate the fact that we were able to come back and make it a game. It certainly got to a point where we thought we had a definite chance to win it. But in the end, in order to win long term, just like every single other team in the league, you have to make it hard on the other team to create scoring chances, and so that's what we're going to continue to focus on.
Last one, you've got relationships with almost every NHL coach. How well do you know Rod Brind'Amour?
Not unreal. Certainly got to know him over the last number of years. I actually got to know him probably best through the COVID pause period where we had a lot of Zoom calls with NHL coaches and had some side calls with Rod and tons of respect for him. LJ Scarpace our video coach worked from in Carolina, so I've certainly got to, pick his brain through LJ a little bit as well, and he's done a great job with his team. As I said earlier, they have an absolute identity, one of the more pure identities in the league, and they play to it. And most nights they plan on outworking you and outcompeting you. And if we're going to win, we have to outwork and outcompete them.
Thanks, Flash.
Yep.
Ted Colfin.
Now that the calendar's turned, if you look at it today or definitely by the weekend, it's going to be like a 2-month sprint to the finish here. How do you guys embrace this? I mean, is it going to be a lot of teaching or not as much on-ice work? I mean, what's your guys' plan, more or less?
It becomes, I don't want to say normal, but somewhat what's been normal schedule back to that. I'd say, we had a real similar month in November probably, and even at parts in December. Obviously, February was, I'd rather have what's coming ahead, to be honest, than what we've had. It's just really hard at that time of the year with that many days off. So, I think getting back in a regular routine, I think most of our players would embrace that. There's going to be moments where we're like, oh, it's a lot of hockey for sure, and we're going to have to be smart about our rest as well in those periods. But we'll continue to work to get to become a better hockey team. Is that during games? Is that through video? Is that through practice? We'll use all those avenues.
Jeff, what was tough about all those breaks? Was it just getting into a groove again, basically, or you lose your timing and stuff?
As I look back at it a little bit, I think we've been a team that's practiced real hard, when we practice. And I think, when you practice that many days in a row, it almost, as I look back a little bit, it looked like we got to 85% instead of 100%. And we kind of played the game that way. And, you can kind of get your way through practice that way, but you can't get your way through games that way. So, we had won a game in New York. It was a big game. We had a lot of, I don't want to say momentum because it was one game, but we had good vibes off that game, and then you had 5 days off, and I'm sure at that point the guys didn't love practicing, and then we come out and we play Colorado, and then you have a few more days. So it is what it is. Every team's had to go through different schedule anomalies, and you got to figure it out. We didn't figure it out well enough, but we got another chance here ahead of us tonight.
Sounds good. Thanks for this, Jeff.
Yeah.
Daniela Bruce.
Coach, you just mentioned the vibe again, and you talked about that post-game on Saturday, just that you didn't really like the vibe from practice. How do you feel about the vibe now from yesterday's practice and today? And can you elaborate on what you meant by that a little bit?
I'll let you know tonight. Vibes, I don't know if that's a word that gets used lots lately, maybe because my kids now, it's good vibes only. I see lots of stuff with that. So I think, my kids say I don't always use everything right either. I would just say, again, I think most of the year we've had practices where I walked off the ice and I knew we had got better. I knew we had competed hard. I knew, I think maybe because of the number of practices strung in a row or the number over a short period of time without games, it just didn't have that same energy, that same enthusiasm to practice, and I think showed a little bit in the game. Now yesterday's practice was a little bit different, so I'll know I thought the skate here today was good. I thought our guys were excited and ready to get going.
Thank you.
Yep.
Trip Tracy.
Speaking of vibe, from the outside, Jeff, watching Moritz Seider this year, exceptional. Can you maybe walk me through the timeline in your head of seeing that as a rookie that he was capable of handling the workload and all the different situations this year?
Yeah, I would start when first of all I had the opportunity before we drafted him to see him at the World Championships. He was playing for Germany. Now he was in a much different role, but I had an early kind of look at him where I was like, "Ooh, this guy's got a chance to be pretty good." And when he came to the American League and did what he did as a very young player in the American League, having coached in the American League and knowing how hard it is for those players, I thought that was extremely impressive. I think a lot of times the biggest jump pro players make is from college or junior or a European pro to the American League, and he did it very seamlessly. Not to say he didn't have his learning. He's learned a bunch. He's gotten better, and he's got lots to learn still. But it was very noticeable that he was a real good player. Opportunities then to see him play in Sweden last year. Now I don't know that league as well, but he had obviously had an excellent year. So as we got into this season, I felt that he could be a guy who was a difference maker, not just a good young player, and that's a huge difference. And and as we didn't want to give him too much too soon, but he's grabbed more, and he's become a guy who's out there playing against the other team's best. He's on our power plays, on our penalty kill. He's in all those different roles, and he's just I think early on, it seemed like his leverage, his body leverage, wasn't as good as he anticipated it to be, and now he seems like he's leveraging his body way better. And I use the word leverage because I know he hasn't got that much stronger over that period of time. He's just learned how to leverage his body a little bit better, and he's showing that physical element. He certainly, I think, has done a good job of accepting coaching and learning as he's going how much to bite off, when can he jump in the play, who's he out there playing against, how to create offense as efficiently as possible. So he's done a good job. He's a very, very good young player that still needs to get better. That's going to be a really good player.
That's it for us this morning. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.